All right, so this lecture is supposed to help you guys just get some really basic command line experience if you've never used Linux before. For those of you who already know how to SSH into things, this isn't going to be super helpful. But how many people have never used Linux before? All right, this will be useful. Cool. So this is the computer that you guys will all have. This is called the Intel Nuke, or Nook, depending on how you want to pronounce it. But it's basically a very small computer that is used in industrial situations. So if you need to install a computer in some sort of industrial setting, or it can also be used as a home computer for light tasks like editing documents and stuff. And then in this case, it's a really good option for our robots, since it's such a small form factor and it can accept a wide variety of input voltages. So this is what we'll be using. And one problem you might have, when you plug this in, there's no monitor. There's an HDMI output, so if you have a monitor, you can hook that up and use it just like a normal, like your normal computer. But we don't provide you with any. So this is going to be kind of introducing you to how to work with it if you don't want to use the monitor. And so inside this computer, there's an Intel Core i3. So it's a pretty low power computer, but it should be plenty for all of your robotics needs for this class. And then we have a 256 gig SSD, so you can put some videos on here to watch in your free time if that's something you want to do. 8 gigs of RAM, and it's running Ubuntu 18.04. And so now I'm going to do kind of a demo of how to use the command line. So if you guys want to follow along, if you have a Mac, this will be easy. If you have Windows, this will be much harder. But for all of you guys, I would recommend installing a VM, a virtual machine. There are some tutorials on ISNT of how to get that set up. And what that will allow you to do is basically get Ubuntu running on your own machine, on your own laptops. And from there, you can use the Linux command line just as if it was one of these computers. And that will allow you to connect with this computer. And in the future, when we start using ROS, which will be tomorrow's lecture, that will allow you to do some cool things where you can run code on your robot computer, but see results on your laptop. So no wires would need to be connected if you want to visualize things that are going on. So that's just a recommendation I have. So if you would like to follow along, the slides are uploaded on the Maslab website, and then you can click on today and just go click on this link on the third slide. And that will basically bring up kind of everything I have here, just a list of commands and what they do. All right, so I have my virtual machine right over here. This is my desktop, and you can launch the terminal by typing terminal up here. This is the classic terminal that comes with, that will come on your computers. And here is where you can enter commands. So I'm actually going to use this bigger one up here, and I will make the font even bigger. Is that a good size? Can you guys see? Yeah? All right. First step, I'll just clear up everything out. So we have this simple, this is called your prompt. So normally what happens is you have your username with an @ symbol and then the host name of your computer. So as you can see, my name is Eric and Pop! OS is my operating system, so that's what the host name is. And then you have the tilde, which actually describes where you are in the file system, and then a $sign. And then the dollar sign just means after this you can start typing. So the first thing that might be helpful is to figure out where we are in this file system. I'll just turn off the sound here. So where we are in this file system. And one really easy command, pwd, stands for print working directory. And you can see that the base of your file system is a slash. So it starts with home and then Eric. So that's kind of the folder we're in. That's like your home desktop. Well, not your desktop, but your home folder on your personal laptop computer. So another thing you might want to find out is what files are in this folder. So ls stands for list. So this will list all of the files and folders that are in this home folder. So as you can see, this is pretty normal. You have documents, downloads, desktop, kind of the normal things you would expect. And then I also have an image here and some files. Some other cool things. If you do ls-l, that stands for long, and you can get more information, like when I created all of these files, who owns them. Sorry, I'm pointing at my own computer, and that's not helpful for you guys. I'll use the mouse. So this is like who is the owner of this file, the date it was created, and then this is actually how many bytes it takes up. So if you want more information on your files, -l. Now, it's actually being a little bit sneaky here. These are not all of the files in my folder. There are some files that start with a dot. So maybe it's like a dot bash rc is one of these kinds of files. It's actually in this folder, but it doesn't show up. And something you can do to look at it is ls-a, which stands for all of them. And here you can see there's the bash rc file right here and some other dot files. These are mainly used to hold settings for other programs. And so, for example, the bash rc is something that gets run every time you open up one of these terminals. And so we'll see how that can be helpful maybe in the next lecture when we go over some raw stuff. We'll add stuff to the bash rc. All right, and then you can do, if you want a list of all of the things in a long format, you can stack the commands like this, ls-la, and then it shows you everything that you have in that long format. And then if you want more information on any of these commands, you can type man ls, that stands for manual, and then it gives you more information. So, for example, you can see that the -a stands for -all. Do not ignore the entries starting with period. And then you can use the arrow key to go up and down in this file to get more information. And then to exit out, as you can see, it says Q to quit, so you can quit out. All right, does that make sense so far? And then you guys will get plenty of practice working with this on these computers. If you ever want to refer back to the notes sheet, it's linked on the slides. And all right, then we'll keep going. So to move around in folders, the command is cd. And if you just do cd without any arguments after it, it just takes you to your home directory. So if we look at the directories I have again, we can cd into documents, and then ls to see what I have there. So I have some Python files and a folder named ROS code. And then just to demonstrate, cd with no arguments just takes me back to that home directory where I was previously. So cd documents. All right, so If I want to see the contents of one of these documents, I can type the command cat. That stands for concatenate. And so if I want to look at what is in hello.py, as you can see, it's just a little bit of Python code that says print hello. And then, but maybe a better way to do it, if you don't want like large files printed out to your terminal, you can use the command less, which we'll see what's in counting right now. So if you type half the, like just a little bit of the thing and you want the computer to do the rest of the work of the typing, you can hit tab and then, oh, I spelled it wrong. You can hit tab and then it'll complete the command if there's no other options for you. So if you use less, it brings up this new window where you can see your entire project here, or your entire file here. And then you can navigate up and down using the arrow keys again. There's not much in this file, so that's useless. But then Q again to exit. And then if we want to run this file, it's Python counting.py. And so it's counting 0, 1,000, 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000. That's the output that you get from that program. So you might find out if you're just experimenting with this by yourself, if you just type cat, it gets you into this endless loop where you can start typing things like hello, and then it'll just duplicate the thing because it's concatenating all of your input to the screen again, so it kind of just echoes whatever you say. And like no matter what I type, there seems to be no way to get out of it, even Q. So this is very helpful if you've never used this before. Control-C will stop any program that's currently running. And that works for almost anything that you can run, like Python files or other programs. If anything's taking way longer than you expect, Control-C and probably investigate what went wrong. So I want to make a new folder now to move my Python files in, because it's not nice to just leave some Python files laying around. So mkdir make directory, and I'll name this Python code. So now as you can see, I have a new folder. And now I want to move both counting.py and hello.py into this new folder. So I can do mv to move, and then counting.py into Python code. So as you can see, counting.py is gone, but if we cd into Python code, now it's in there. All right, something that we'll have to do in the future when we get more familiar with ROS. That's kind of the software that we're going to run on the robots to have all of your programs communicate to each other. We'll address that more later. But we'll have to make these programs executable. So if I want to run this without specifying Python, it won't let me because it's not an executable file right now. So something we'll have to do is chmod plus x for plus executable. So we're adding executability to counting.py. And then it shows up in green on your terminal if you have the colors configured correctly. And now if we do this command, another thing, the up arrow goes to previous commands that you've executed. And so now you can get that output without having to type the Python. All right. So now that we have this counting.py file, I'm going to make a little bit of variant called counting-sheep.py. So this one is for when you want to go to sleep, of course. So we'll just copy counting.py. CP stands for copy. And then we'll do counting sheep.python. So now we have two files. And you probably don't want to do all of your text editing like this, but if you just want to make a few corrections somewhere, you can use a text editor that's inside the terminal called Nano. And then you can do the file you want to edit. And then to navigate around, it's just the arrow keys. And so if I want to do, let's see, I want to do 1 sheep, 2 sheep, 3 sheep, like that. All right, so I've made all the edits that I want to this file, and now I want to save. So as you can see, all of the keyboard shortcuts are at the bottom, and the caret stands for control. So you hit Control-O to write out the file, to save the file, and then just hit Enter, and that will save the file. As you can see, it says you wrote 7 lines, so it saved my file. And then to exit, it's Control-X. So that's just basically, it's the basic text editor that you can use if you're new to the command line in general. And then, let's see, I don't really even want the counting file anymore, so I'm going to delete that one. And you can do that with RM, stands for remove, and then counting.py. So now, as you can see, that file is completely gone, and there's nothing we can do to get it back. Like there's no undo on the command line. Once you execute a command, it just does it, and there's no way to undo that again. So that's why version control is very important, and you should all go to that lecture at 2 o'clock today. Because that will allow you to get some way to get that file back. But right now I have no way of getting that file back. So to get back up to the documents directory, right now I'm in documents/Python code. If you type ... like period, that means the directory that's just above this one that we're currently in. And so now, as you can see in the blue text, that we're in the documents folder. So I've decided that I no longer like my Python code folder anymore. So I want to try to remove it with the rm command. But it says it can't because it's a directory. So we're actually going to go all the way back to 60001, if you guys remember that, or have ever taken it, and use some recursion. The R stands for recursion. So what that does is it basically deletes that folder and everything inside that folder. So everything in that folder will be gone, basically. And as you can see, we have no more Python code. So those are the basic commands you need to navigate around. And then that should get you pretty far into moving things around in your file system once you're starting to develop software and making some small changes. Another important thing is to know how to install software. So to install software on the command line, you have to do sudo, which stands for super user do. This is like when your computer asks for your password when you're installing software. This is kind of the command line way to do that. So I want to install something called, I want to get my fortune. So there's actually a program for that. It's sudo apt install is how you install things. So apt is the program that installs other programs. And then I want to install fortune. So now I have to type in my password. So as you can see, I typed in my password, but no text appeared on the screen. And that's just for security, so that if somebody's watching you, they don't even know how long your password is, unless they're really good at counting your keystrokes or something. So as you can see, it went through all of the processes of installing that software for me. And now if I want to get my fortune, I just type fortune, and it gives me a random fortune from the database that they have. It was also different before everything changed. Isn't that so true? So another program that might be a little bit more useful is something called tree. So we will sudo apt install tree. All right, so it's done now. And now if I want to use this tree command, so this actually shows me visually everything that ls would show me if it were run on every folder that's under my current folder. So it's kind of like the file manager, the graphical one on your operating system currently. So if I want to go back to home and then run tree, it will give me this huge output of all of the files in all of the folders under this home directory. So as you can see, there's a lot of stuff here. But this will help you maybe if you don't want to run ls and cd all the time. So that's maybe a better example of software that you would want to install on your computer. And then for the final thing, we still haven't gotten into this robot computer yet. So for that, we're going to use something called SSH. And what this is it's a secure shell. That's what the S and the SH stand for. And this allows you to get a terminal window on this device, but on your laptop computer. So the way to make this work, for all of the computers that we have for you guys, they're set up with something called poll me maybe. And so this is just the Maslab website. If you go to the wiki, way down here at the bottom, it says poll me maybe. And then this is a website where it lists off all of the computers that are currently on, along with their IP address. So is that big enough for everybody to see? Can you all read that? Yeah? Okay. So kitbot is just the name of this computer, the username, like Eric in my example over here. And then 18.21.172.14 is the IP address. So that's a unique identifier for this computer on this Wi-Fi network, which is MIT right now. And then the time that it was last updated. So now, if we do SSH, and then the username, so kitbot, at this IP address, so 18.21.172, 18.21.172, and then 14. Now we have to enter the password for this computer. It is Balsam. It's Maslab spelled backwards. And I think that's going to be the default password on all of your computers as well. So now we're inside. As you can see, the username and the host name are both kitbot. So that's how you can tell you're not in your own computer anymore. You're actually in this one. So now we can type ls here and see everything that has been installed on this computer. And we can navigate around just the same. Go to the documents folder. Looks like we have nothing in it. And so now we have all of the commands that I just showed you before. We can run on this computer through this SSH connection. And so this is what you guys can use to run Python files or other programs that you want, to start up your ROS nodes, to basically do everything you need to do on your robot without any wires connecting a screen or a keyboard to your robot. So this is really useful for testing. And then one final thing, I'm just going to split my terminal here. So I'm using a special terminal called Terminator, and this allows you to tile your terminal windows all in the same window. So you can have like two, one on top of another like this. And it makes it easy when you're SSHing into, like when you want a lot of SSH terminals, along with some terminals that are not SSH, you can organize them all cleanly without having lots of windows open. And to do that, you can just do sudo apt install Terminator, like that. And then type in your password, and then it will install that for you. You hit Y when it asks you if you want to continue. It'll tell you how much disk space will be used by this program and stuff. And then that'll install that on this computer, since I was signed into Kitbot. That's not what I want to do. All right, I'll make this one bigger. And then one last thing that will also be helpful. Maybe you want to transfer a file from your laptop to your robot computer, or maybe you took a picture with your webcam on this computer and you want to transfer it back to your laptop. What you can do is SCP. This stands for secure copy. So it works basically the same as the CP command, the copy command that we looked at earlier. But in this case, it does it across a Wi-Fi or network connection. So say I want to copy this Maslab 2020 logo.png over to Kitbot at the 21.172.14 address. And so if I enter this command and then do an ls up here, you can see that it is not there. Let's see. Okay, all right, here we go. This is better. So if you add a colon at the end, then I think it does what you want. So now I have to type in the password to make sure that I have access to this computer. And then it will copy the file for me. And now if I do ls, you can see that my picture is now on the other computer as well. And maybe I wanted to copy this into a specific folder, so I can hit the up arrow to get this command again, and then start typing documents. Yeah, let's just say I want to put it in the documents folder. So I can execute this command, type in my password again, and then it will be in the documents folder on this computer. So this is really useful if you want to transfer files from one computer to another, because SSH doesn't really allow you to do that by itself. All right, so everything that I just went over is on the handout that is in the lecture notes up here. But then if you want more information, I just went over the super basic stuff. If you want more information, there's the Ubuntu command line tutorial. That's Ubuntu's website that kind of can get you up to speed of what they think is essential for you to know. So there's like moving and manipulating files using the move command, mv and ls. Some other resources. I think this is actually a really useful website. This is something swcarpentry.github.io. And this is a really nice tutorial of a whole bunch of Linux commands. Even stuff like way beyond what we've covered, where you can actually take, let's see if I can find an example here. You can take commands and then link them to other commands and create a string of programs to do almost anything you want. So I'd recommend looking at these if you want even more information. There's also linuxcommand.org, which is another really good place to go, and this Linux command cheat sheet that just basically lists a whole bunch of things that you can run, like hostname-i. That's probably a good one. So if I do hostname dash capital I here, it will actually give me the IP address that's on poll.me maybe. So that's how it knows how to update that website with your IP address. All right, so are there any questions about stuff I've covered or things that you want to know? Yeah.
Just for the last example with the file transfer, if you wanted something within documents, do you do a slash or another colon?
So if I'm on my laptop computer right here,
yeah,
and I want to get something from documents, from my documents folder onto this computer, or?
Like just for the last command you did, if you wanted to transfer it to somewhere like within your document, like another subfolder within your document, is it just a slash? Like
yeah, you can do slash and then folder. I think this will fail because that folder doesn't actually exist.
Okay, but that's this.
Actually, it might. I think it just made that folder, yeah. So now if we do cd folder, that's very weird. Oh, it's not actually a folder. Oh, I see what happened. Yeah, it got renamed to folder. So if we want to do that, we actually have to end it with a slash. And now it will make I have to type in my password again. And then, yeah, it failed because that didn't exist. But if I make a directory called folder here, if I remove the file that's named folder, and then make a directory called folder, and then try this command again, it does put it in there. There was another question.
What else is the chmod command?
The ch. Oh, so an easy way to find out is to do man on chmod. And I'm actually not sure. I only use it for X. But let's see. So I guess it changes the mode. Here, if we want to get on a bit of a tangent, we can do sudo apt install tldr. So this is like if you don't like reading the man pages, this will give you the abbreviated version. So you can do tldr of chmod. And yes, thank you. All right, so apparently I can give all users rights to read and execute with the chmod a plus rx with the file name, and do some other stuff. But the man command and then tldr if you don't like reading the man command. are really helpful. Also, just Googling the command that you want, either if you have something in mind that you want to see what the options are, or if you don't know how to do something, you can just look it up on Google, and then that's a really easy way to figure out what's going on. Were there any other questions? Yeah.
Wait, can you repeat how you found that IP address that we
So the way that you guys will probably be doing it most often will be through Poll Me Maybe. And so this is linked on the Maslab website. So this is the wiki at maslab.mit.edu 2020 wiki. And then down here, Poll Me Maybe. So you can click on that link. That's just maslab.mit.edu/pollmemaybe. And then this lists out, it looks like Team 4, your computer is up if you want to mess with Noah and SSH into it right now, but probably don't do that. That was your question? All right. Well, if that's all you guys want to know, then that's all I have. Thanks for coming.
I think we're cutting kitbots at like 12:30.
Kitbots at 12:30?
I think it's 12:30. So if
All right.
you want to grab lunch before then and meet us at EDS around then. Sorry. Should I start?
Oh, cool. Okay.
Oh yeah, one more thing, guys. Sorry. I got a lot of questions yesterday about like what is LiDAR, and if you want to know, that lecture is tomorrow. Eric's going to be going through like LiDAR stuff and how you use that with Maslab and why that's different this year as opposed to just like wall bouncing. So I'm very interested. That's tomorrow.
That's going to be a fun one.
That's going to be a fun
I think you're helping out with that too, right?
I think so. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, tomorrow is basically the software day where we go over all of the software that you need to know and how to make your robot do fun things. So definitely show up for that one.